is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I am your father.
You like Huey Lewis on the news?
Yes. And you're not sure about this, are you?
You're gonna die, clown!
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? Sam, the most you ever lost on a coin toss. Call it.
Whose motorcycle is this?
It's a chopper, baby.
Whose chopper is this?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby.
Bring out today!
This is a tasty burger.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Welcome to the fucking show.
Hello, welcome back to See What Sticks, a podcast about everything and nothing. I'm Russell.
And I am Ben.
And we are back for episode 53 or 54. I think this is episode 54. Ben, we are past the 50% mark or whatever to get to episode 100, which, it'll be cool. I'm going to shout out another podcast that I was on last week. It was one of my good buddies, Treto. I was on his podcast, which is called Treto Without a Radio, and I will link all of his stuff in the description of this podcast, and I'll be sure to rep him because we talked for about 3.5 hours. I have no idea how much of that is going to stay in the final product, because it was a little bit like an episode of the Joe Rogan podcast where you're just talking and you're like, oh shit, it's 11 p.m. I need to go home and go to bed. So it was one of those. And yeah, it was a really good talk. Some really interesting topics came up. I told a few of the stories I've told on this show, like the Breaking the Sink, and a few other things just about sailing with the national team and things like that. So it was a good time. Much fun was had. Much rejoicing. And yeah, Ben, what have you been up to since last week?
Basically just biding my time until this here Thanksgiving break that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be enjoying my time off. I'm going to be catching up on some games, hanging out with my kids, making sure that they're taken care of. In particular, tonight, I'm going to be staying up quite late to try and get some online Black Friday deals so I don't have to step a foot in a store this coming Friday, because I would hate to have to beat someone's ass just to get my darling little girl her Maximus horse from the movie Tangled that she wants so badly.
Yeah. Maybe I'm being dumb. Is Cyber Monday after Black? Is that like the same thing? Because I don't really shop online a whole lot. I don't shop in general a whole lot. I'm exceedingly cheap. I really am. Is Cyber Monday the Monday after Black Friday? Is that a thing? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Because I knew it was around now, but I'm like, wait, is it closer to Christmas? Or is it like, oh, okay. But yeah, dude, definitely. I mean, if your son or daughter wants it, you're gonna knock some heads to get that item.
We're basically like kind of limiting Christmas this year to like a couple of big gifts,
Mm-hmm.
because the extended family gets them, tons and tons of other shit like all the time. So it's kind of like they already got more than enough toys than what they need. So, once the Christmas haul comes in, we're going to gather up a bunch of old toys, donate those to like Goodwill or to some other charity that takes in toys, and basically just, clear out the old for the new stuff that will eventually be donated again next year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's probably a really good way to go about it, especially because you're like giving back to people who may really need something like a pick-me-up, especially kids. Helping kids is probably up there with like some of the best things you can do. So
I want to instill the kind of value of like giving back at an early age and realizing that, to be grateful for what you already have and realize that there are people out there that no matter how dire straits you're in, like there's always someone out there that could probably need a little bit more than you.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's good for kids to know, especially coming from like a good house like yours, and then seeing like other people and being like, oh damn, I'm super lucky. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I will be damned if my kids turn out to be like entitled little shits that feel like they deserve the world.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I try not to be like that. I actively try not to be entitled. But then there's certain times where, like, I'll say something and I'm like, is that just me being pushy about myself, or is that me being entitled? I don't know. There's a gray area there that I'm like, am I over the line here by, like, saying just certain things about my own side of my career that I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, is this the right way to approach this, or is this the wrong way to approach this? And I have to constantly kind of check myself. But yeah, that's a good thing to instill in kids. My parents did that for me. My parents' mantra, because I know they listen, is we have money, you don't. You are our charity, so you got to earn what you want in life and be grateful for the stuff you have, because that can all go away very quickly. And yeah, I think that's good. It's taught me to not be a monster, where I know a lot of people who are monsters. So you don't want that. But yeah, on that positive note of teaching your kids the joy of giving back to the community, how is school? Because I know the semester is getting near-ish the end. You've passed the 1/3 mark, or the 2/3 mark.
Yeah, after we come back from break, it's basically 2 weeks left, and then finals week. Everything's winding down. One of my classes, there's not going to be a final. It's just like a final paper.
Okay.
I've already got my first draft of that complete and turned in, so hopefully I won't have to revise it too much, and I'll just be able to turn it back in as is and get a decent grade. Other than that, only 2 other finals to worry about, and unfortunately both of those are on a Friday or Saturday.
Oh, you have the Friday slot? Yeah. Did I? No, my last semester at Purdue, I actually had the mythical Sunday spot. There's a Sunday 7 p.m. final. So the first one, I had that one for a class. Because the test that I was doing was a bit, I don't want to say it was like a makeup test, but the way they ran it is you could opt in to do the test earlier because there's no more classes left. You can opt in to do the test earlier, and it's a totally different version, so you can't like give people the answers. It's just like, it was very in-depth different. And the next test for the students was the next Monday at 7 a.m. So people could opt to do it on Sunday night or Monday morning. And I'm like, I'll just do it Sunday night at night because I don't want to have to get up at like 6:15 to get to a test at 7 and be totally out of it, where I could get a whole day of like cramming and then go straight into the test. And
yeah, that'd be the approach that I would do.
And I think I got a B+ in that class. So clearly I made the right choice.
Great success.
Great success. But yeah, no, it was good. Are you, I guess everyone's nervous about finals, but are you nervous in a bad way, or are you more just like anticipating it and then having it be happy to be over?
The way I go about my classes throughout the rest of the semester is I bust my ass to get the best grade possible, to where I don't have to worry about the final as much. Like, I still try and do my best, but I kind of like give myself that wiggle room to where I can still pull out like a solid B or B+ if I don't do as well as I wanted to.
Yeah.
And that's worked pretty well for me for the past few semesters.
Yeah, I know that approach very, very well. And I think that's a good way to go about it, is like really bust your ass through the semester like 10,000%, so that you have that little bit of gap that, oh man, if I really like fuck up the final, I'm not doomed. Like, there's not as much, I mean, there's pressure on it because it's a big test, but there's not the pressure that you would expect from a final.
Right.
Unless you're in one of those classes where they're like, oh yeah, it's a bunch of paper, and then your final's 90% of your grade, and you're like, well, shit.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, especially for my German final, hoping it'll be similar to the last couple semesters, to where it's only like 8% of the total grade, to where basically like the last semester especially, I bombed the shit out of that test, but it barely affected my grade at all.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. The last class I was really in college, I was really, really legitimately worried about. I had a women's studies class where I was like the only dude in the class. I've talked about it before, but we didn't have a test, but we had like a bunch of papers due at the end, and then we had a presentation, and I totally thought I fucked the presentation, like, completely. Like, I had totally, like, fucked it real bad. And I came out of that class with an A. And that was one of those ones where, like, how? Like, what did I do to deserve an A? Where, like, if, you know, in, like, the reviews, I almost wish I put that, like, what did I do right? Because I totally thought I bombed this. Where, like, you leave and they're like, that was amazing. You're like, what? Like, actually? Like, you're being for real right now? Like, I did a good job? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I'm watching you. Like, am I punked? Where are the cameras? But yeah. Well, that's a reference that a lot of people don't get.
Most people probably, I'd say around your age might be the cutoff for understanding that reference.
I think so. I think maybe people who are like a year or two younger than me missed that. I think I'm at the tail end of the punked Ashton Kutcher thing. So, I guess this will lead into our main thing, but let me look at the notes, because I have a bunch of notes. So, we're going to talk about a few childhood things first here. So, Ben and I have devised a very clever episode that I think we're going to reuse a few times. And then I know next week I really want to do the reviewing reviews again. I thought that was a lot of fun. But we're going to do something. So, I don't know if you guys out there have heard of the Wikipedia race. Ben, do you want to explain the Wikipedia race? Because I explained it to you yesterday.
I think you probably ought to take the reins on that as well, because this will be like kind of my first foray into it. So I think you probably have a better explanation ready to go for this. Okay.
So the Wikipedia race, for those of you who don't know, is a thing. I think there's actually a game you can do online. There's like a browser extension where you can do it and it'll time you. So the Wikipedia race you can do with friends, or you can have one that's generated. So it'll give you 3 topics that are completely unrelated. So let's say World War II, I don't know, Barney and American flag popsicles. So it'll give you 3 random things, or like SpongeBob popsicles or SpongeBob ice cream sandwich things that you can get from like a ice cream truck. So it'll give you 3 completely unrelated topics, and you have to get from the first topic to the second topic to the third topic by only clicking links in Wikipedia. And how many links you click and how quickly you can get from one topic to the next kind of determines your score. So it's a really interesting way to be creative and be like, okay, so if my first topic is this, the thing that they may have in common is this link. And then from this link you go. And there's people, I've played with friends, and I've had friends who've never gotten to the second topic because they just go down the wrong path. So it's really it's like, it takes a little bit of wit, a little bit of luck, and a little bit of everything in between, and some knowledge. If you have like knowledge about each topic going in, it can really save you. But yes, so that's what we're doing, but we're doing a topic. So we're going to call it the podcast race instead of the Wikipedia race. So Ben and I have each picked 3 topics that we didn't tell each other till right before we recorded, and we've compiled them into a list. So we have to get from the first topic to the next. So Ben, do you want to read off the topics?
Yes. Do you want me to read them off interchangeably, like yours, mine, yours, mine?
Yeah.
Okay. We started off with Lunchables chicken nuggets. Next is the Eiffel Tower. Next, Tesla, the car company. Followed by a Zamboni machine. Followed by Alexander the Great. Followed by Vincent Chase, or Vinny Chase, the character from the show Entourage. And finally, is the world a simulation?
Spoiler, there's a 50-50% chance that it is, because there's a 50-50 chance of anything. So it very well could be. Okay, so Ben, let's get into Lunchables chicken nuggets, which is probably the grossest, if not second grossest Lunchable, behind Lunchables hot dogs.
Ugh. I can proudly say I've never had the hot dogs one. I don't remember ever having the chicken nuggets one.
I know the last time I had a Lunchable. It was in college, because I saw Lunchables chicken nuggets, and I'm like, yes, that seems like a really healthy idea for me to eat this right now. And let me tell you, if what you're imagining from a Lunchables chicken nugget is like, one of those Hungry Man meals with the chicken patty, Think about that, but smaller and spongier. That's what it is. And there's some sort of preservative that keeps it good forever.
And is this chicken or is this Lunchable? Was it meant to be heated up? Because I know that was like the kind of the selling point of Lunchables. Like no need to heat up these foods. Like whether it be the snack crackers or a pizza or the taco or the like nacho style. Like none of those you had to heat up. I think like cold chicken nuggets would be disgusting.
Oh, you're right. It is disgusting, and you don't need to heat them up. I think I think there's like 3 in the pack or whatever. Or maybe I bought 2 packs. I don't exactly remember. But I ate 1 or 2 of them cold. It's way better than heating them up. If you heat them up, evil secretes from those chicken nuggets. And the formaldehyde type chemical that they put in there shows its ugly head. And it is the last thing that you want to be eating is one of those disgusting nonsense chicken nugget monstrosities. But yeah, Ben, what was your favorite chicken nugget? Also, the hot dog ones are really gross as well. I'm going to let you know a cold hot dog in general is gross, but a cold Lunchables hot dog is gross with a capital fuck. So yeah.
And doesn't Oscar Mayer produce Lunchables to begin with?
Do they?
I think.
You know what? You're probably right. That is probably 100% true. That seems like an offshoot of Oscar Mayer is Lunchables. But I think that's probably the easiest creative development team of all time. Where it's like, let's just throw a bunch of bullshit in this little tray and kids are going to eat this shit up.
Pretty much. I think you were asking what was my favorite Lunchable.
Yeah.
I was always... I kept it simple. I always liked the snack cracker style, but I liked like the turkey and cheddar, not just like the bologna and American cheese.
You know, the bologna and American cheese, why was it... Ben is now choking on himself. Ben is dead. The podcast is over.
I drank like 3 bottles of water in the past 10 minutes, and nothing is helping my throat.
Are you getting a sore throat?
Probably the pack of cigarettes that I smoke like every other day.
Ben, cigarettes aren't a healthy habit. Guys, don't
you see this luscious beard I'm growing because I smoke too much?
Yeah.
Even though that has no correlation to what's going on.
Yeah, everyone at me and at Ben, tell Ben to stop smoking cigarettes because Ben and I are actually going to see each other potentially for the next podcast. And if Ben's still smoking cigarettes, I'm going to put a firecracker in one of them. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens to Ben's face. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to hurt.
We'll see what sticks from my blown up face.
Yeah. Actually, what would happen if you put a cigarette in... what would happen if you put a firecracker in a cigarette? Would it just blow your face up?
I mean, I would...
Like one of the little ones.
Like
you know those little ones that are in a row?
Like what's the physical damage that a cigarette in the mouth is going to do? Or a firecracker in the mouth is going to do?
It'll probably blow your teeth out. I don't think it would... Yeah, it would probably burn you.
Some teeth. I assume that part of your tongue might be destroyed. You might, depending on the strength of the firecracker, your jaw might get really messed up.
Yeah, you know what? In hindsight, bad idea. Let's not do that. But I feel like if you put one of those, you know those little firecrackers that are, they're in like the little like wax paper and you throw them at the ground really hard.
Yeah,
and
poppers.
Yeah. I feel like if you put one of those in a cigarette, it would just scare the shit out of you, but it wouldn't hurt you. Because like you can throw those at each other and they don't hurt.
Right. Though I would not want that to be like popping in my face.
Yeah, so the thesis of this is Ben, stop smoking.
Okay, back to not worrying about my health, you sons of bitches. What was your Lunchable of choice? My
Lunchable of choice was eating cigarettes. I'm just kidding. My Lunchable of choice was
the Lunchable cigarette pack.
Ooh, yummy! It's like from the 1950s. Virginia Slims, the only cigarette healthy enough for your kid. But for those of you who get the joke I just made, thank you. I think my favorite was probably the disgusting pizza ones because the what you're talking about, the ones that you didn't like, why was the meat wet? Like there's like moisture on it and it was super gross.
Well, I mean, like any lunch meat you buy is going to be a little bit moist.
Yeah, I don't like moist meat.
That's the point. Like dry turkey or dry blunt, that'd be disgusting.
You know what? I guess so. And as a kid, you don't really realize that what you're eating is probably just a bunch of formaldehyde in the shape of food, and it's going to destroy you in the long run. But I think it tasted good. But I think the pizza ones were really good. And then there was another one that I really liked that wasn't the pizza ones. Was there a taco Lunchable? I'm going to look this up. There was a taco. I think it was the taco one and the pizza one were like my jam. And that pizza sauce, which is essentially just like watered down marinara, was pretty heat. And you could eat it cold. And I like cold pizza. Like I'll go to Giordano's and like the leftovers, I'll eat straight out of the fridge. Because when you reheat or reconstitute pizza, it never comes out the same. So that's why I do cold pizza, because then you're gonna you're putting it in the microwave for that idea of like, oh, it's gonna be just as good as when I picked it up from the store or when I got the takeout. It never is. So just eat it cold, because it's probably more like how you want it to be than if you zap it again, because then it gets all like gross.
Yeah, your best bet if you want to try and get as close to fresh out of the oven as possible is to just throw it in your own oven to reheat it. But even then, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, because I think the tomato sauce gets something happens with the tomato sauce and the cheese where I don't know exactly what's happening, but there's a chemical binding there that is not good.
Yeah. My major bone to pick with Lunchable pizzas is never, ever enough cheese.
You know what? You're so right. I think, have you ever bought the... You know, like the make it your at home pizza things where it's just like the flatbread you can buy in the packages, and you can go buy mozzarella cheese and then you can buy those. Yeah. Have you ever made one of those but made it cold and not cooked it in the oven?
No, I have not. I have made my own pizza before, but I have cooked it.
I did one when I was still, it's probably like the year that we met, which was like 2 years ago. But it was that time I had an experiment with my roommates where we tried it and we're like, Lunchables pizzas, we all remember being quite good. So let's go down. I lived above a grocery store, like above like a Trader Joe's style grocery store. And we did it. It was actually really good. It was like legitimately good. And we made sure that everything we were consuming was like safe to eat raw, like the bread and stuff. But like, yeah, you can eat it all raw. And it tasted really good. It was kind of just like a flatbread.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think anything I would make at home, like I would, unless it is specifically designed to be eaten cold or room temperature, like I would feel safer heating up.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying. Did you know that cheese, like shredded cheese, has like plastic around it?
Really?
Yeah, there's like this edible form of like plastic that's very, very, very minor. Oh god, it's very minimal. But that's how like shredded cheese, that if you buy it in a pack, doesn't clump together the same way as if you took a brick of cheese and shredded it yourself. Okay,
that makes sense.
But yeah, so that's a little fun fact about shredded cheese. But yeah, so let's do this very seamlessly. I think one of the best things about cheese is how universal it is. It can be found anywhere. And you know where they have really good cheese?
I bet in France.
They do have very good cheese in France. I am a big-time cheese boy. I don't know if that means something else, but I'm a big-time cheese boy. Even though I'm giving up dairy because, like, it's not good for humans, like, in general. That's why, like, a lot of people have lactose intolerance. Because, like, dairy from another animal isn't exactly good for humans or whatever. But they do have good cheese in France. And do you want to know a fun fact about the Eiffel Tower?
Was there a wheel of cheese dropped from it that smashed someone's head?
I feel like that is a real thing. But the Eiffel Tower is the first human-made structure since the pyramids that is designed on the same architecture and has stood by itself. So the humans have never, since the pyramids were made, like 2.5 thousand years ago, maybe more, maybe 3,000 years ago, there's a certain like algorithmic architecture used to create the pyramids, and the next time that humans did that again was for the Eiffel Tower, but in more of a skeletal form, because I'm sure you guys know what the Eiffel Tower looks like, but that's the next time humans have made a structure like that, which is really crazy.
That does seem, that's very interesting, yeah, because, I mean, I'm certainly no math whiz at all, but it's always really fascinating to find out, like, or to think about the kind of mathematical equations, architectural, engineering, blah, 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 that goes into making something like that to where it's not just going to crumble or fall apart or like blow over in a gust of wind.
Yeah, I think the Eiffel Tower, I'm a really big time, I'm an architecture person, so one of my favorite subreddits I subscribe to is architecture porn, because I think really cool architecture is the, like, best thing. I don't know. What do you think about that, Ben?
I don't know a whole lot about architecture. I can appreciate an interesting like design for a building or like civil engineering kind of things, like just plain good craftsmanship as far as buildings and like other different structures. But like if you were to like try and get me to go down like a rabbit hole of like the nitty gritty details of that kind of stuff, I would just be like, yeah, cool, yeah. Like,
no,
yeah.
I totally know what you mean. I used to be like that, but then I went to Spain, and then I went to Rome, I think back-to-back years, maybe? I don't remember. I think maybe there's a year in between that I didn't go to Europe. But when I went to Spain, I wasn't as big into architecture, but when I went to Italy, something like clicked in me. And like the architecture in like Rome, like the ancient Roman architecture and stuff in the Vatican was just so cool to me. Also, everything in the Vatican is definitely stolen. As a Catholic person, I'm allowed to say that. Guys, as Catholics, come on, why are we stealing stuff? Why are we taking stuff from other people? It's not cool, guys. Come on. But yeah, that's my rant on Catholicism as a good old Catholic boy. Why you guys stealing shit? Come on. But yeah. And that's as much as I'll talk about Catholicism on this podcast.
Gonna say, like, we could go much further into the crimes of Catholicism, but out of respect for your upbringing and for the many possibly people that might be listening to this, we'll just keep it at that.
There's a really good John Mulaney joke where people are like, being Catholic, and there's like all this stuff, and he's like, it's a fucked up organization, all this stuff, and John Mulaney's like, we all know that. It's established, we get it. Like, yeah, I think we all kind of know there's some not good stuff, but you know what? You just are like, my mom goes to church all the time. I should probably just like be cool with all this, and like God seems like a pretty cool guy or whatever. So I'm gonna just chill with this and kind of be like, hey, don't do those naughty things. But that's my idea of religion. You're welcome. But yeah, why the hell did it go to
from the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, we did get far away from the Eiffel Tower there. Ben, are you a big period piece movie person?
Depends on the period. I mean, and also I guess if the story revolving around that particular period, it seems interesting. Like I'll give it a shot. Like I'm not against any one like point in time, I guess.
If we're talking period piece, what would be like your favorite to watch a well-made period piece film? And period piece can be like the movie mid-90s that just came out. Like it can be any period of time that isn't the 2010s to 2020s kind of thing. Like the period that we are in now. Like what would be your favorite one to see like a well